Hi, welcome. We are live in the WBMS iCenter study room. But if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. And today we are interviewing a librarian from the West Bloomfield Township Public Library named Steve Ketchum. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming. What is your schedule like?
So, being a public librarian, my schedule changes every day. So typically, though, I do 4 hours a day on the reference desk. So, just like, your librarians here, when people come up and ask questions, we're the ones that help them out there on the desk. And then I usually have 3 hours of off desk time where, I do ordering and just all the other librarian jobs that we have to do. So if I do work on a weekend, on a Saturday or Sunday, we pretty much work on the desk the entire shift. So that's my typical day.
How long have you been at the library for?
I have been at the library, I'm going to say it's been so long, since around 1995. So,
Whoa.
Yeah, but right when I got out of graduate school with my library science degree, I went to West Bloomfield and I've been here ever since.
Nice. We're glad to have you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Do you ever have anxiety while or before you have to make a decision of, because I know you also run the teen area, if you're going to put something new in or get rid of something, do you ever have anxiety when making a decision?
I
like
mean,
that?
Not really in that respect. I mean, that's part of your training and, being a librarian is making those judgment calls. To me, the anxiety comes more because I think a lot of librarians are introverts and, on the shy side. But I think sometimes it's more of like social interactions that cause, some kind of anxiety more than just, doing like librarian work with the collection and stuff.
What is the easiest job at the library?
Wow, what's the easiest job? You know what, for me, I think the easiest job is getting out and seeing people. Just getting out, interacting. Like when I came and talked to you guys about rap. That's the easy job. I can talk about the library all day long. It's not a problem.
Do you have a hardest thing to do?
I think the hardest thing to do, again, tying back to the things that make you anxious, some of those kind of things, when proper behavior isn't exhibited in the library. So when you have to deal with that kind of stuff, that's to me the most challenging thing,
What's your favorite thing?
Wow, my favorite thing I think about being a public librarian is that you get to work with your community. So you get to know your community. It's different every day being at a public library because we don't really specialize in any one thing. Anyone that walks up to the desk could ask any question. So I think that's the thing I love about it because every single day is different.
What is your least favorite thing?
I think tying back to, again, just, those very, very, very rare moments when, people just don't know how to act in the library.
Now, this one can be a tricky question. Who's your favorite person to work with at the library?
Wow, that is a hard one because, I just like so many people I work with there. Gosh, it's almost like choosing your favorite child. I'm pretty close with a fellow adult librarian named Jolie. I'm pretty close and I love working with a youth librarian named Julie. And then we have a newer librarian at the library named Emily. So those are the three I really, I try to get along with everybody and I enjoy working with everyone.
What is your history in your career, or has it all been at the library?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that I've spent my entire career at the West Bloomfield Library. Now, I filled a number of roles over the years at the library. I haven't always been the young adult librarian, but I think it's rare for someone to stay, especially nowadays, at one place for most of their career.
What other roles other than the young adult role have you been?
So when I first started, I actually started part-time in the adult department at the library. And so did that for around 6 months, 7 months. And then I became a full-time adult librarian. Then eventually I became the assistant department head of the adult department. And then for around 7 years, I managed the West Acres branch over on the other side of town. And then I have been, the young adult librarian for about 7 years.
What got you interested in being a librarian?
Well, from a young age, not surprisingly, I loved being in the library. I loved reading. So it was just one of the two career paths that I, even from a young age, thought I would have. Being a teacher was the other one, history teacher. So, I ended up going the library path. But, from a kid, I just loved reading. I loved being in libraries. I loved doing research. I just, it was a passion from when I was a kid.
What's your favorite age group to work with?
Well, of course, now it's young adults. I mean, again, and that also ties in with, like I told you, like I thought about being a teacher, educator, so I can still, be a librarian, but I can still come out and talk to you guys about rap. I can do something like this. I can, interact with young adults at the library. I'm doing a Tinkercad program at the library tonight. So I think working with young adults is one of my favorite age groups. But again, being in a public library, you get the benefit of working with all age groups, which is great.
Now, if you were going to be a teacher, what grades would you teach?
I would have probably been a middle school history teacher or high school. But I also didn't rule out being, a college professor too. But middle school, high school would probably be what I would have done.
I asked you what got you interested in being a librarian, correct?
Yes.
All right. And favorite program that the library sponsors or put on?
Wow. Favorite program.
And you can name a couple of them if you can't pick one.
I like a lot of stuff we do. I mean, of course, I love summer reading. Summer reading is my passion, and to keep young adults and people of all ages, reading over the summer. So that's probably my absolute favorite program we do. A couple other ones, I love doing rap. I think that, the opportunities you guys have to read and the amazing books you have as young adults now. I didn't have when I was at your age. At your age, I was probably starting to read adult fantasy books and science fiction and, stuff like that. So, I think I love, the reading programs we do most of all, like summer reading, rap, things like that.
We're very fortunate to have the books here. And now, was it your library that came up with the idea of making rap required this year? Or was that our library?
That was the school, so don't blame me if I'm glad it's required.
It's I'm reading a good book. I actually have my book here.
Yeah.
The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, not copyrighted, but by William Kamkwamba and Brian Mueller. It's really good so far. I'm only on chapter 8. We're not sponsored by the book.
And the video that Mrs. Carson showed during the rap kickoff for that book was very inspiring. Is that what caused you to want to?
Well, there were a couple of them, and it just happened to be that my mind just went straight to that one. They all seemed very interesting, but it was like that one just had something. Like when I looked at it, came to pick out the book to read. Because I happen to also be doing another assignment using that book for English.
Excellent.
On top of the rap stuff we have to do for the I Center, we also have an English project we have to do.
Excellent.
So I'm just like, why not do a double?
There you go. That's awesome.
Are there any upcoming events at the library?
We always have things going on at the library for like all ages. So our youth department does a lot of story times, things for young kids. As far as what I do, like I said tonight, which people may not see this till after the fact, but I love 3D printing. I love, CAD design. Now, granted, I'm at a basic level, but so I love teaching those kind of classes, inspiring young adults to hopefully get into this stuff more. Soon I'll be doing. I typically do Dungeons and Dragons or some kind of role-playing game or gaming at the library. We're doing for the first time ever in December Cookie Wars, where myself and another librarian, we're going to give people blank cookies and a bunch of decorating stuff, and they're going to decorate them. We're going to give them some themes and stuff that they have to adhere to, and that's going to be really amazing. I can't wait for that.
That's going to be fun and messy.
Yeah, exactly.
Now going back to you're the young adults librarian.
Yes.
What's your favorite thing in that area?
Again, I think it is working with young adults. I think trying to be an inspiration, again, like I was saying with a lot of the programs I do, I'm hopefully introducing young adults to, like 3D printing or Dungeons and Dragons or, other kind of crafts or technology, coding. So hopefully inspiring them and, introducing them to good, books to read, and hopefully inspiring them to read and continue to read all year round.
What like different things though? I heard there was an Xbox when you did Rap Kickoff in the young adult area. What other things like that are there?
So I mean, we use that stuff for after school typically. Times when young adults might come in after school to give them a place to go to take a break. So yeah, we have our Xbox and our PlayStation. We have a ping pong table. And then, again, as part of the programming I do for young adults, because gaming is such a big interest with young adults, I'm able to do programming through the year. Like November is International Gaming in Libraries Month. So I do at least one program for gaming in November. So I pull all that stuff out.
Fun. Is there ever a time where all the technology people become a little bit extra with it, where you have to turn it off?
What do you mean by that?
Of like come out of control with it, or?
No, I've never had that happen, and knock on wood, hopefully never will. So, but no, people typically, behave with it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because Xboxes and all that stuff are getting way more expensive than what they were when they first started.
Yeah, and harder to come by too right now. So.
Yeah, inflation is really making warehouses struggle.
Yeah.
Have you had any of those struggles with getting books?
Yes, we've had a lot of struggles due to the pandemic, and even now, supply chain issues. So there've been delays on us getting books. So yes, libraries have been affected too. The price of books and the scarcity of paper too. So even to get those books printed, we've been impacted by that.
Now, when COVID first started, what were the price of a book now?
I couldn't even tell you. I don't know how many percent it's gone up, but like everything else in the world, the inflation, that's, what we're seeing.
What is your favorite thing about doing programs with the WB district?
Again, it always ties back to trying to inspire people. That is, so be it technology, be it reading, whatever I'm doing at the library, I'm trying to inspire the people who come into the library to learn something new. So that's my main thing. But the great thing is, in learning a lot of this stuff, like a couple of years ago, I didn't know the first thing about 3D printing. I didn't know how to do any kind of CAD. So again, it's challenging me to learn stuff and to then teach it to people in the community. Over the summer too, I did like a ukulele class. So, I played ukulele for years. I'm not an expert, but I can, I know enough that I can play and I can teach other people. So
how often have you played ukulele, or how long?
I probably played for like 10 years. But again, it's nothing I play every day. So, I play a couple instruments, but it's more I just play them when I feel like it.
What other instruments?
So I can play guitar, I can play mountain dulcimer. When I was growing up, I was in band, so I played saxophone through up to about my sophomore year in high school. So, yeah.
That is really cool. When did you start becoming a librarian? Was there like a tough process to do it?
It's not a tough process, but it is an intentional process. Because I don't know if you know this, but to be a bona fide librarian, you have to have a master's in library science. So our undergraduate degrees are all different. I've met people who have undergrad degrees who are librarians in everything. But every one of us that are, actual librarians have a master's in library science. So, you get your 4-year degree, but then you're going to graduate school. So it takes a time commitment, a financial commitment to become, a librarian.
What were the required classes other than librarian science that were required to be a librarian?
Oh gosh, there's a long time ago. Let me think back to what we did. There were a lot of required reference classes, standard reference materials you would use to help people. How to do a reference interview. If you come in and tell me you're looking for information on something, there's like an interview process, a back and forth between the two of us. Like, hey, Maxwell, tell me more about your project. Can you give me some terms that we might use to search? Are there things you've already used? What can or can't you use? How many sources do you need? So there's a whole like give and take interview that librarians do with people to try to ascertain what they're trying to get.
What are you working on in the library right now?
What am I working on now? Again, upcoming programs. Again, I got my Tinkercad tonight, Dungeons and Dragons coming up. I do a graphic novel book discussion once a month. So just prepping for upcoming classes. I'm always ordering. I'm always, sort of taking care of my collection too when things get damaged, taking things out. What else am I doing? I'm trying to finish getting our rap author for this spring. So trying to finalize everything with that person. So just the usual things that librarians do.
Who is it going to be this year for the rap?
We are hopefully getting, and I think everything's pretty much set at Dusty Bowling. She wrote in Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus, and there's one of her other book by her on the rap list. So, yeah, she'll be awesome.
What is the process for talking to the book authors of getting them to come?
So the process is usually me trying to find an author who, like on their website, says, hey, I do class visits. Hopefully they have all the requirements there, that as far as their fee, how many programs they'll do a day, all that kind of stuff. And then I typically reach out to the author. I introduce myself. I tell them about the partnership we have with the school and about rap. And then I ask them if they're available and, would they like to be our featured, author. And then after that, if they agree to it, I typically send a contract. And then if they have a contract, they send it to me that I sign, and then they show up.
And can you sign up for any of your events that you lead or the other events on the website of the library?
Yeah.
Or how do you sign up?
Yeah, so most sign up, unless I don't require sign up, like for my gaming event in November, there's no need for sign up because I could have a room full of people and I'd be fine. For anything that I have limited numbers of seats or whatever, yeah, you just sign up through the library. You have to, if I require sign up, you gotta have a library card, either a West Bloomfield card or like a student card. Students can sign up for my stuff as well. So.
Now, from what I've heard, if you're a WB student or live there in WB, you can get a free library card, or?
Yeah, there's no cost to get a library card. Yeah, so anyone that lives in West Bloomfield or our contract communities can get a library card. As a student here at West Bloomfield Middle School, if you don't live in West Bloomfield, you can still get a card with us. It's called a student card. And we would issue that. You would just have to prove that you go to school here. So, and again, it's free. Yeah, we don't charge for library cards.
What is your education? And this is the final question.
What is my education? Like my education background?
Yes.
So
when you graduated from high school and your college.
So I graduated in 1988 in a small town in southern Indiana. I spent my first year of college in Alabama. At a college down there, and then I finished up at a smaller university close to where I grew up in Indiana. I had got a degree in history with a political science minor, and then I went to Indiana University and earned my master's in library science.
And then you started at the library in
around 1995, yeah, so.
All right, well, thank you for joining. I had a very great time during this
thank
interview.
you. Yeah.
You're welcome. And I would also like to thank Miss Lisa Graff for recording and Miss Nancy Putras for making the background that is on the TV right here. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you.